It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview the Siena College Director of Women's Basketball Operations, Morgan Roche. How are you doing today?
I'm good, Brandon. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to get started in working in college athletics?
Yeah, I think just having experience as a former student athlete myself, it was always something that I had an interest in staying in. Actually got my master's degree in elementary education and kind of realized that was not the path I wanted to take and just started exploring other options that weren't necessarily going to be in a coaching role, but a way to stay involved still with college athletics and the student athlete experience.
What was that like going to Quincy and being a track runner?
It was pretty special. I had the opportunity to join a really good team that had had a lot of recent success and came in with a class of women that are still my best friends, and we got to continue that winning streak. Fortunately, yeah, as a team, I don't think we lost a conference championship, which was pretty cool.
What were some of your accomplishments on the track side?
Feels like it's been a while. They're all definitely in a box in my basement somewhere. I think I know what they are, but like when I think about my accomplishments, like it's the memories of being with my teammates and the long runs that we had, practices, bus trips, team meals. Like those are the things that like when I think back, I remember. I couldn't even rattle off some of my best times anymore. They were important back then, but they're distant memories. And yeah, the ones that I hold closer to my heart are, the relationships that you form with people. I will say there was one of the awards that I actually was pretty proud of getting when I was there was the Quinnipiac Junior of the Year award. And I think what was special about that is I had no idea what it was. I remember my coach had nominated me, and it was like a campus-wide award for leadership that, yeah, like I said, I didn't even know existed. So to get that was pretty cool. Sometimes when athletes or people, like know of awards that you're trying to get, it's different when it's just completely unexpected. So that was pretty special. It was a day when my parents got to come to campus and there was a ceremony for it. And yeah, that was a probably one of the most proudest accomplishments that I have.
Coming out of college, what was that like getting to work in college athletics and going to the Clemson Tigers?
Yeah, that was a really cool experience that um so I got to be an intern down there in their athletic academic services department and actually don't even know why I was chosen as the intern. Steve Duzan, who was the director there at the time, and I know he's still there. I still ask him sometimes to this day why he picked me. I remember being interviewed, and there were even questions where I told him I didn't know the answer, but with that, I guess I followed up with ways that I would go about finding out what that answer was and using other skill sets that I have that I guess just got me in the door. And yeah, just really cool. just as a supervisor, he opened the door to all of the different aspects of an athletic academic services program that just really made me love it and not want to leave. So, and from there, had the opportunity to go to Vanderbilt after a year of being at Clemson. So, uh, they definitely did something right at Clemson to set me up for later opportunities.
Of course, what were some of your roles as that academic service advisor?
So I came in to work alongside the tutor coordinator, which was more of an administrative role, but I remember asking Steve, I wanted to explore what else there was under the athletic academic services bubble. And he was really open to giving me those opportunities. And, I had got the chance to serve as the academic advisor for, I think it was women's tennis, both of the golf programs, while their advisor was on maternity leave. So that was just to be able to be handed some additional responsibilities to what you kind of signed up for. Yeah, just gave me a better resume essentially to take that moving on to another opportunity.
What was that experience like from going from ATC to the SEC and working with Vanderbilt?
I think they're similar in the sense that they're big schools. As much as Vanderbilt's it's a Power Five school, it's in the SEC, it's private and it's small. That a lot of people don't realize how small it is compared to the Alabamas and the Georgias that they compete against. So what was unique about Vanderbilt is you got to wear a lot of hats because it was still a smaller department. They've done so much in recent years to really grow that, and it's fun to watch that from afar. But yeah, you get to do different things. I remember one of my coworkers and I even wanted to make some aesthetic changes to the office, and we took a trip to Home Depot and bought some paint and made those changes ourselves, which is something that probably other Power Five schools weren't necessarily doing. But yeah, just again, similar to Clemson, that you got to have more experiences than just maybe your job description says.
What was that transition like from working as the advisor to then getting into director of operations?
A lot of similar skill sets, I would say, definitely completely different day-to-day tasks, but you have to be organized, you have to be able to communicate effectively. And so all of that pretty much transitioned, but it was a big learning curve. I think I put in a ton of hours in my first year just because I had no idea what I was doing. Everything I did, I was doing it for the first time, and everything from purchase orders to banquet event orders, hotel contracts, working alongside, MAC conference officials. There's just things that I had never done before, which made it fun and enjoyable. But yeah, I think the skill set it's very similar, and it's helped me transition as best as possible.
Coming to Siena, what was that like becoming the director of women's basketball operations?
Well, it was coming home, which was a big thing. I born and raised in the Albany area, and coming home was something I eventually knew I always wanted to do, and I didn't know what that would look like coming from having worked in bigger schools where the roles that I had weren't necessarily roles that you find at a smaller school like Siena. So I never really knew what that was going to look like for myself. And I remember talking with John Dargenio, our athletics director here, just about, opportunities that could exist. And remember some advice he gave me was you don't know what you don't know. And you don't realize sometimes how true that was at the time too. And they had John had just hired Jim Jaber to come back to Siena to lead the women's basketball program, and to try and go along with believing that I don't know what I don't know, I emailed Jim and knew he'd be looking to fill this role, and kind of explained to him what I did and asked if the opportunity was there. And he called me an hour later actually, and we talked, and I was offered the job pretty quickly, and kind of similarly to Clemson, not understanding or really knowing why I got that job. Jim kind of had to take a chance on me. I had no experience being a director of basketball operations. And again, I knew I wasn't going to know exactly what I was doing, but just kind of believed in myself and was going to bet on myself. And I'm very grateful that Jim brought me here. And, being closer to friends and family is huge, but Siena itself is it's a really special place. I liked working at big schools, but there were many times you'd walk down hallways or even on campus and you pass people that you've never seen before. But when you're at a school like Siena, you're on first name basis with everyone from, facility staff to our president, which is pretty cool. And it makes coming to work every day really special and fun.
What was that feeling like getting to come home and having your friends and family get to see you and see what some of the stuff you do?
Yeah, it's really special. I'm a huge family person, and living far away for so long was hard. Grateful for the experiences and even the friends and relationships and professional opportunities I had being far away, but it's things that it's just to be able to make a Saturday drive to a family baby shower. Those were things that I missed living far away. So it's just things like that that really, they're important to me and they mean a lot, and it means a lot to my family too. My parents, they come to all of the games. I think my dad likes following basketball a little bit more than he liked following my running career. But yeah, and I come from a big basketball family too. So, um, I've have family members that coach. My cousin is a head D3 coach in Boston. So we have a big basketball family. So it's fun. Sometimes you get the text on Saturday and there's a lineup. There's a few games earlier in the day and some later, and they're always, chiming in on score updates and who won that day and who might have been a little unlucky that day.
Of course, how have you took what you learned as an athlete, as a track athlete, over to being the director of operations?
I don't know if a lot translates. They're very different sports. Um, but I think there's something about running where, I mean, and like with all things, you get out of it what you put into it. But there's so much discipline involved in running because it's as much as it's a team sport, it's an individual sport. And so I think there's that sense of, being independent and being able to work hard and do it for yourself. Those kind of skill sets probably translate the best. It's nice to be able to pass our cross country and track kids too, and you know what they're going through, and you know how hard they work. And I still follow even the success of the Siena team. Well, we just recently one of our top runners had a really good day down at Penn Relays yesterday, and texting our coach and congratulations. It's still fun to follow along because that was a sport that I did, and it's still really important to me, and to see their successes is pretty cool.
What are some of your roles and responsibilities?
Every day is different. And it's what I like best about this job. I could be driving into work thinking I know exactly what I'm going to do that day, and something gets thrown on your desk, phone call rings, and it changes the trajectory of your day, which, yeah, I love it. Um, but it's pretty much everything that doesn't have to do with basketball, as strange as that may sound. It's, being the liaison to a lot of our campus offices, whether it's housing, dining services, financial aid. I work very closely with all of those leads. And then even inside our athletics department, our communications staff, our training room, our strength coach, we just, whatever we can do to help improve the program and to make sure that it's running as smoothly as it possibly can, and that our student athletes are taken care of and enjoying their experience as best as they can.
As a director of operations, what is that like and getting to work with other director of operations to work on this scheduling teams and stuff?
Yeah, I think one of our assistant coaches oversees our scheduling. And those, the scheduling of games happens years out. You're putting contracts and you're putting home and home series together. It's finding tournaments that you can play in and to just increase your team's best chances to prepare for conference games and postseason and to challenge yourself. But I really enjoy working with the other director of ops in our conference. Everyone's super supportive of each other, and especially when you're making trips out to them to play them on their home floor. You're coordinating a lot of things with them, just in terms of when your team's coming and going and using their facilities, and it's just and even other coaches in the MAC. It's a pretty close conference, and yeah, it's fun to work with everyone.
On game day, what does that look like as the director of ops?
Um, I like to make sure that no one ever has to ask me for something. It involves being really proactive and organized and making sure things are put together prior to. But if I can get through a game day and no one has to ask me for something, I consider that a pretty good thing, and I must have done my job pretty well. Um, but it's everything from staging the locker room, getting the girls' uniforms out and ready, having a shoot around, then the team will go to pregame meal, and then it's kind of once that hits, you're in game mode. And one of the things that I like the most about game days is we'll often have young girls, boys and girls, that will come to our game and are a part of our game day experience and in some way, shape, or form. So it's meeting them and their families a little bit earlier before game days and getting them on the court during warm-ups and bringing them into the locker room at halftime. It's so unique and it's so special to them to see a little 8-year-old girl walk around the corner in the locker room, and here these girls are about to go play a Division I basketball game, and they're kind of chanting her name. And to see them light up, those are experiences that don't take that much work from us, but they're so special to them. You can't not do things like that for young girls in the community.
As a director of ops, what is that like obviously seeing those athletes see those jerseys and know that obviously your hard work put them on there and are able to pay off?
Yeah, it's special, and you only get 4 years to do this. I only got 4 years to be able to be a student athlete, so I know what that means. I know how quickly it goes by, and sometimes you want to look them in the face and just be like, just let's have fun with this, because you've been there, and like I said, you know how fast it goes. But yeah, it's something that they get really excited for, and it means a lot to them. So in any way that you get to be a part of that in whatever capacity, it's pretty special. And that's why you work in college athletics. It's for these student athletes.
Was that like obviously getting to help those young prospects and recruits that are coming in to Siena for the first time?
It's showing them what Siena is, who Siena is, who we are as a staff. Jim Jaber and the assistant coaches, they work hard to recruit these young people and to get to know them and their families. And you only get a short time for them to be on campus, so you want to be able to show them what Siena has to offer and what their 4 years as a student athlete could look like at Siena. And that's everything from our staff spending time with their family, our current student athletes spending time with them, and to make sure that when they make that decision that Siena is where they want to be. And when we get those kids that realize that Siena's for them, it's pretty cool. And sometimes it's even you got to wait 2 years to get them here, but that's what it's all about. And it's special. And even when you get them signed early and they come to some games to kind of check in and watch. It's cool. It just gets you excited for what their 4 years will be.
Of course, looking back on your career, what are some of the things that you've learned as the director of operations?
I've learned a lot because like I said, I didn't know a lot. But yeah, I think just, working alongside conference officials was just, in my professional aspirations of kind of moving up into upper administration at some point in time, you know, serving in those roles has been really helpful for my career and just, gaining experiences I hadn't had before. It's all been beneficial.
What would you tell your younger self now, looking back as your director of operations for a Division One program?
What would I tell my younger self? That's a good one. I'd say to bet on yourself, to believe in yourself. Um, there was saw an interview once with she just won the Boston Marathon, and remember she was getting interviewed, and she had run it so many times before and had never won, and her response was to younger people was, keep showing up. And that's something I always tell myself. And you have good days, you have bad days, but you keep showing up because you never know when something good's going to happen, when something's going to happen and you're going to be like, all right, this is why it was all worth it. But yeah, I think the betting on yourself and believing in yourself is, if you've got that, you'll go pretty far in life.
What are some of your future plans for Siena moving forward?
We have a really young team. We had a really good year as a young team, and it was exciting for them to see that. And for them, even at the end of the year, reflecting back as a young team and to recognize all that they accomplished, they're hungry, they're eager for more. As well as they want more, and they are hoping for a MAC title. So um, yeah, just as a staff and as a family, that's something we're working for every day. And it's not a matter of if, but when, as Jim likes to say. So we're all working for that goal.
What advice would you give those college athletes that are looking to work in college athletics?
It's probably the same advice I would have given myself. There's you're gonna get jobs that kind of like I did, where you're like, I don't know how you picked me for this, but you have to have the confidence, believing that you have a skill set that can bring value to a program or a role is really important. Um, and to network and to build relationships, to get people in your corner who believe in you as much as you want to believe in yourself is super important. I was really fortunate. I have been really fortunate in my career, just even as a student athlete, from my head coach at Quinnipiac to supervisors I've had in my previous stops. You build and you find those people that believe in you and will help you get to where you want to go. And it's even, currently Jim. He took a chance and he believed in me, and I'm very grateful for that, and for what this position has kind of done for my professional career.
What advice would you give those people that are looking to work inside college athletics, and particularly as a director of operations?
You got to be organized. You got to be willing to understand that it's not an 8 to 5 job. Sometimes the computer doesn't close until maybe the early hours of the morning, but if if you take pride in what you do, and you care about what you do and you care about the student athletes, it's all worth it. Early mornings, late nights, long weekends on the road. It's all about them and providing not only the student athletes, but your staff with the best success and resources that you can provide them. That's what's got to drive you, and if that's what you're willing to give, the doors will be open for you.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media along with the Siena women's basketball program?
So we are on Twitter, and I am forgetting what our handle is. It's Siena, SIENA_WBB, I believe. And it should be Siena WBB on Instagram as well. And I do have a Twitter myself. I believe it's MORG_AN, and my last name is Roche, ROCHE.
Thank you again, Morgan Roche, for your interview, and best of luck in your future as the Director of Women's Basketball Operations.
Thanks, Brandon. It was my pleasure. You have a great day.
You too. You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Morgan Roche, for your interview, and best of luck in your future at Siena.
Thanks, Brandon.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.